you're going to do it, the audit should be worth it. The problem is, audits are hard. Yet we've issued over 20,000 reports to 2,000 clients worldwide.
The standards need to be elevated in the world of cybersecurity and compliance.
Cybersecurity and compliance will no longer be a mystery.
Hey everybody, welcome on into our cybersecurity mission. My name is Allie Krings, I'm your host, and of course today we are starting a very special podcast with a special guest, Joseph Kirkpatrick, the founder of Kirkpatrick Price. Joseph, it's so great to have you here.
Thank you. It's so great to start this new podcast and have the very first episode with you as the host.
You know, it's been really exciting. We've been trying to get this off the ground for a few months now. Why did you see that there was a need to start our cybersecurity mission?
So I'm a believer in mission-led businesses. I think that having a strong, clear mission is so important to the success of any team or organization. And as I've grown in this industry and see all of the threats that we're facing with cybersecurity, you know, the threats are just growing exponentially. I see that our industry needs a mission. You know, we need to understand that it's our mission. It's just not these individual companies, but we've actually got to work together on something that is bigger in order to prepare us for the oncoming threat.
You know, and it's so exciting because I know here at Kirkpatrick Price, you've been in those shoes, you've walked those steps of knowing just how difficult audits are, and I really see that as such an advantage for clients looking to get a great audit done. Walk us through why you think knowing what it's been like can help you guys.
Yeah, I think it's so critical to just be honest with yourself about what it is that you're facing. You know, there's a principle in business where, you know, you have to be realistic with your team. So if you're facing dire circumstances, it's important to acknowledge that and say, hey, we're in a bad situation here. Like if you could imagine somebody who's in a hostage situation, like this is bad. But you know, we have a plan for getting through this, and that's one of the things that I think helps us with cybersecurity auditing is because, you know, it is hard to do a cybersecurity audit. And one of the things that I've taught my team is that when people call us and say, you know, we want to do an audit, and you're not going to have any trouble with us. It's going to be so easy working with us. It's going to be so quick. We don't have any problems here. I actually tell our team to run away from that opportunity because they're not being realistic that we're actually working on something that's very difficult. And going through an audit is hard, and it should be hard because it's worth it to go through an audit and test yourself and find things and learn things. And so just knowing that, and the people that we have here at Kirkpatrick Price who know that and understand that, I think it's a strength and an advantage to go into the situation just acknowledging this is a difficult thing we're doing.
I have to say, it's pretty interesting. We're about 5 minutes deep into this podcast. You've already talked about a hostage type situation in audits.
Yeah.
But also with that being said, you're talking about a big thing, which is to expect the unexpected. And I think that's probably one of the most intimidating parts of an audit.
Yeah, you don't know what's going to come out of it, and you have to suspend, you know, your expectation. You can't control the outcome because you are relying on this independent expert to come in and test things that maybe you didn't think about because maybe you have blinders on. Maybe you didn't understand that this area over here was as impactful to your environment as what you thought you were controlling here. And so, yeah, you have to trust, you know, the person you're hiring. And that's why it's important to find an auditor who matches up with your values and your expectations and has the necessary skill and qualification to do the work because you are trusting them to do it well and actually find things. You actually want them to find problems.
You know, I want to walk you through, guys, why Joseph has such a knowledge in this field. You've been working in cybersecurity for years. Walk us through how this came to be. Why this field?
This field for me started in 1984. Like that was the year of the personal computer. It was named the Person of the Year in Time magazine. And that was the year my parents sent me to a computer class over a summer. And they had the foresight to say, oh, here's something new that we want, you know, our child to learn. And so, so from that early age, I knew that I wanted to do something with computers because I was so enthralled by it. And so cybersecurity came to me simply because I did work in the IT field. I am a justice seeker, just personally as an individual, and so the idea of doing things right and keeping the malicious people out of things that they're
Right.
supposed to be like, that really is what gets me up in the morning, and so,
So cool.
I just lined that up with a career.
So obviously there's other firms out there. You saw there was a missing piece in the marketplace. You introduced Kirkpatrick Price. What is it that Kirkpatrick Price does that's different?
So one of the things that I saw when I decided I wanted to start a firm was that a lot of vendors, like a lot of service providers to regulated industries, had not tackled compliance issues yet. So I was working with banks and credit unions at the time, and in their audits I was noticing that the vendors that they had, the payment processors, the billing processors, the loan platforms, the imaging and document management people, like none of them had been through compliance
Right. Okay.
audits yet. And so the banks and credit unions were trying to get them to demonstrate their compliance in these different areas, but they just weren't ready for it. And so I wanted to start a company that focused on service providers because I saw how much data they had, how much access they had, and I saw that they needed a lot of help, and I wanted to help them, you know, get up to a better standard.
Well, that's also a big thing of what our cybersecurity mission is all about. It's not just helping one person, but it's being able to help 10,000 people really better themselves in this area. So I want to introduce to you guys what this podcast is going to be about. Every episode might be a little bit different. We might talk about different topics. Walk us through what the future of this podcast is going to look like.
Yeah, our cybersecurity mission is focused on elevating standards. And that's something that we believe here at Kirkpatrick Price, is that the standards need to be elevated in the world of cybersecurity and compliance. A lot of people are trying to push those things down and actually make things quicker and easier. And I don't believe the industry is ready for that. You know, we have not gotten enough people involved in cybersecurity and compliance. We don't have the tools in order to match with what the threats are laying on us. And so now is not the time to make things quicker and easier. We have to elevate our standards first. And so this podcast is going to focus on the different areas in cybersecurity and compliance where we need to elevate our standards. And so whether it's application development, or if it is configuration management or vulnerability management or training, we have 20 different topics that we want to cover, and we want to help people understand how can we elevate the standards in this area.
One of the reasons that I'm really proud to be part of this partnership and work on our cybersecurity mission is because not only are you sharing this word, but there's going to be resources available. And matter of fact, if there is an expert that you want to learn more about or a question that you at home want to ask, I do want to encourage you to go to kirkpatrickprice.com/podcast. You can also check out the show notes down below to submit some of those questions. But let's talk about what is yet to come. There are so many great topics when it comes to cybersecurity. What's one that really excites you?
You know, for me, it all starts with risk assessment. I think that is an area that I see as the foundation to everything that you do. I am constantly assessing risk, whether I'm driving down the road or dealing with a family member or protecting our technology and our data from attack. You're constantly evaluating risk in the moment, and you're thinking about, oh, is this an oncoming threat, and what is actually the potential of the vulnerability that I have being exploited? And so I really like the concept of risk management because it applies to everything, and if you do it well, it's a way to teach the people around you to be more secure and to take it more seriously.
It's interesting how you bring that up because it does remind me so much of the mission and the brand story that Kirkpatrick Price talks about. And so I want to dig into that a little bit more because it really just lays out perfectly what we're looking for when it comes to an audit.
Yeah, so one of the things that we talk about here with our auditors is, you know, we want to be thorough. We want to be well trained. We hire people who have sat in the seat of our customers. We want people who have been through audits themselves, because if you haven't been through an audit yourself, how can you be an auditor, to go through that? There's so many auditors in the market today that have never even been through an audit, and they don't even understand the environment or the technologies or even the business case of what's happening. And so you just don't get a thorough quality audit if you use an auditor like that. So we believe in hiring people who've sat in that seat, and then we want people who are advanced enough to actually find things. I read so many audit reports where everything's fine, and I've actually seen a meme floating around out there. Talks about it perfectly. There's a road that is just all broken up to a certain point, and then there's a patch of a good roadway, and then it's broken again past that. And the meme is before the audit and after the audit, like everything's a mess, but during the audit, everything is smooth as silk, And unfortunately, that's what a lot of audit reports say. They say everything is good over here, but yet we have incidents, we have breaches, we have misconfigurations, we have employees who don't understand our policies and procedures. And so it's just not the truth, to say that we have no problems. And so we want to be advanced enough to test the people, processes, and technologies that our clients have so that they get the real story. And I just think that's so critical when it comes to auditing.
It makes it exciting, and there's so many tools, so many different experts that can dig into these really niche areas. What are some of the recommendations you would have to somebody who's looking to hire an auditor?
Definitely interview the auditor who will be working with you. Too often you talk to a salesperson or you consider the company, this is a reputable company, this is a very well-regarded organization. But if they send you someone who's just 2 years out of school or someone who has never operated the technology that you operate, then you're not going to get a quality audit. And so interview the auditor, understand the person who's going to work with you, because if they have not worked with cloud technologies, for example, and your system is in AWS, that's not the auditor for you, And so matching up their skill set with what you're looking for out of your audit is, I think, a really important step to take.
How do you see your role continuing to evolve? Because it feels like every other day technology evolves into something brand new, something more explosive. There's so much learning to do. So how does that impact the work that you do here at Kirkpatrick Price?
Well, in our values, we talk about education. And in order for us to be able to educate our clients, we have to educate ourselves. And things are changing so fast and new things are introduced so frequently that it is impossible to keep up. And so we have to take a team-based approach. We have people who take certain training and up their game in one area while someone else is doing another area. And then we share the load. There's a lot of cross-pollination and support that our team offers one another. But we focus on education. We want our auditors to do continuous training. Every auditor at Kirkpatrick Price has to complete at least 40 hours of continuing professional education every year.
Wow.
We do weekly training as a team. We have special trainings on top of that. We put our money where our mouth is. We pay for our auditors to go to trainings and earn certifications. And so if we're not educating ourselves, how can we turn around and help our clients understand the issues that they need to be learning about? And so education is really key for us in this fast-paced change that we're going through.
Okay, I've got just a couple more questions for you, but I want to talk about some of the experiences that you've had. Can you tell us about a time with maybe a client where you were really surprised by something that you found and what solution you were able to come up with?
Oh man, let's see. Let me think of one where there was a surprise. So I remember one time I was actually in your hometown and I was auditing a company, and they had a law firm that was advising them and that was actually instrumental in hiring us. And so they were a big organization, and they had a contract with the federal government, for something that they were providing them, and so they wanted to do this audit. And so I show up in their conference room and start working through the issues with the people on the different topics, and the answer to every topic was, we don't do that, our vendor does that. And so everything was, we don't do that, our vendor does that. And so finally I went to the CIO and I said, we're really not making any headway here. because you guys don't have anything to show me. I keep asking questions, and the answer is always that the vendor does it.
Yep.
And the vendor was in St. Louis. So I said, how about if we all just go down to St. Louis for the rest of the week and just spend time there, because apparently that's where all the answers are.
Okay.
And that's what we did. There were 3 of us. It was me, the CIO, and the director of IT, I think was his title. And so we flew from Minneapolis to St. Louis, and we went into the conference room and met with the vendor.
Wow.
And so I opened up all the materials, and I said, okay, apparently you guys handle all these things for these guys, and so I want to talk through the questions. And so I asked my first question, and they said, well, we can do that for them, but we're not doing that for them because they have not asked us to do that. And I said, okay, well, how about data backups? They say that you do that. Well, we can do that for them, but we're not doing that for them because they haven't asked us. And so this whole time, this company was operating under the assumption that this vendor was doing all these things, and the vendor was like, nobody told us, and so no one was doing it. And it was a surprise to me. It was a shock. I suppose that's not really a shock to me anymore, but at that time, I was really surprised that they actually misunderstood whether or not those controls were being performed. So,
you know, it's crazy, just the little things that can get missed, and I think that's why we're so lucky to have, you know, so much experience when we are diving into these audits. You know, we're about to wrap up on our very first episode of our cybersecurity mission, so I want to get your final thoughts and what you're excited about as we begin this journey.
I think I want to help people understand that when it comes to cybersecurity and compliance, it can be done. I think that people can be confident about being successful in this area. I know most of the conversations that I have with people who are undertaking these challenges is one of fear, uncertainty, and sometimes just a lack of belief, you know. And so I want to help people understand that, no, we can have a mission, and if you're going to have a mission, then you should expect to win at it. And when it comes to something difficult, whether it's climbing a mountain or traveling all the way around the world, you know, you can actually have hope that you'll be successful. And when it comes to cybersecurity and compliance, we believe that people can be successful with it.
You know, it sounds like that's confidence that you can have when you've done 20,000 reports for 1,200 clients. It really does stack your resume in such an amazing way as a testament to the work that Kirkpatrick Price does. Joseph, I want to say thank you so much for sitting down with me today. This was a lot of fun. For my friends who tuned in, my name is Allie Krings. If you have a question for an expert or a topic that you'd love Joseph and the team to cover, I invite you to go online to kirkpatrickprice.com/podcast or check out the show notes down below.
When you work with a Kirkpatrick Price cybersecurity auditor, you work with someone who's been in your shoes. Let's see what the next expert is ready to share to support you in your cybersecurity mission.
Hello, I'm Kevin Zach. I've been with Kirkpatrick Price now for 5 years. I love helping clients navigate compliance, frameworks, and security. Going through this for the first time. You can connect with us before even engaging. Our website at explore.kirkpatrickprice.com offers a ton of resources. You can connect with an expert, have your information security policies reviewed, your risk assessment reviewed, and then you can connect with an expert even before you sign an engagement with us. So reach out. We're happy to help. Connect with an expert. Anytime, we are here to help you and help navigate your way through the complexities.
If you want to prepare for success with regulatory compliance, visit kirkpatrickprice.com/podcast or the show notes to download today's episode resources. We're here to empower you to face your cybersecurity and compliance challenges. Are you ready to join a community of 10,000 people who are working together to elevate the standards for cybersecurity and compliance? It's free to sign up at kirkpatrickprice.com/podcast or check the show notes and achieve greater levels of assurance today. Thanks for joining us on our cybersecurity mission.